got my MTV app. Savage! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get! Yes!
On December 27th,
140 hours of footage. That's the number people keep coming back to. Not clips, not highlights, full recordings, private moments, situations that were never meant to be public. People still ask the same question over and over again. Why would someone film themselves like that? Why document things that could clearly destroy them later? But the truth is, that footage may end up being the very thing that collapses everything. When more details finally surface, the people still defending him aren't going to argue. They're going to disappear. Silence always comes before accountability in cases like this. When 50 Cent's Netflix documentary Sean Diddy Combs: The Reckoning dropped, it shook the industry immediately. The timing alone made it explosive. But despite how bold it was, despite the headlines and reactions, it still barely scratched the surface. Some of the darkest allegations never made it to the screen. The people who helped build Diddy's empire were barely mentioned. The stories involving violence, intimidation, and even deaths.
Charges and allegations against me are 100% false, and I feel confident that in the next couple of days that I'll be vindicated and everything will be all right.
Words of confidence from rap star Sean Puffy Combs, made after he posted $100,000 bail on 3 counts of weapons charges. Combs' latest run-in with the law started at Times Square's Club New York, just after 2 o'clock Monday morning. Based on an eyewitness account, prosecutors say Combs, partying with girlfriend and actress Jennifer Lopez, got into an argument with someone. That person reportedly then threw a stack of money in Combs' face. Prosecutors then say one of Combs' associates, 19-year-old Jamal Barrow, also known as the rapper Shine, opened fire, while Combs reportedly pulled out a pistol of his own.
The fact that Mr. Combs has been arrested is because some person alleges that he had a gun.
Combs and Lopez fled the club, speeding away in his chauffeur Jeep. 3 people inside the club were injured, 2 of them critically, including a young woman with a bullet lodged in her cheek. Police say a high-speed chase involving Combs, Lopez, and 2 of his men riding up front spanned 20 blocks up 8th Avenue, through at least 11 red lights. When the squad cars caught up, a gun was found near the front seat.
Were glossed over or left vague. What aired was just the safe version, the version that could exist without blowing the entire system wide open. Diddy always leaned into the image. He bragged about being ruthless. He called himself a savage. He made it clear that winning mattered more than anything else. That mindset wasn't just talk. It followed him everywhere, every era, every controversy. Whenever allegations surfaced, the response was always the same: deny everything.
On Sunday evening, I went to Club New York, and under no circumstances whatsoever did I have anything to do with a shooting. I do not own a gun, nor did I possess a gun that night. I had nothing to do with a shooting in this club. I want to make this 100% clear. I had nothing to do with a shooting in this club. And I feel terrible that people were hurt that night. I'm positive in the next couple of days, due to the investigation, that the truth will come out. Thank you very much.
Let me say this once. It is very frustrating that every time some person decides to make an accusation against Mr. Combs, that the press reports it as if it's true. It is a total lie. Mr. Combs went by himself in a limo with Miss Lopez, went to a club. He did not possess a gun. She did not possess a gun. Whatever happened at the club had nothing to do with him. There were shots fired. And when he went outside and he was whisked into a car in the back of the car with Miss Lopez, the gun was found in the front where 2 other people were. Now, the reason Miss Lopez was dismissed is because if you or I went into a car and sat in the back seat and a gun was found in the front, our cases would be dismissed. The reason Mr. Combs' case was not dismissed is a simple one, because every time someone lies, you all take it as true.
Project Confidence, promise vindication, move forward like nothing happened. That pattern was already clear long before the current storm. Back in December of 1999, the cracks were already visible. Diddy and Jennifer Lopez were partying at Club New York in Times Square when chaos erupted. Witnesses say a confrontation broke out between Diddy and a man named Matthew Scar Allen.
Standing by the front door, I watched the entire thing out. I had no reason to believe that it would escalate to a shooting. It was just male machismo and bravado at first. A lot of pushing and shoving, raised voices, hands, but then I saw them reach in their waist and draw from their hip. And I knew. I instantly turned to my friends and told them, be careful, watch out. And when I turned back, I know, and I've said over and over, I've heard the voice of God said, you are about to be hit. Calm down. And as I said no, I looked straight forward ahead and I watched the muzzle flash from both of their guns and I felt the impact to my face instantly. J-Lo testified at the grand jury, as did many other people. It needs to be reopened because if that is in fact the case, she carried the gun in.
According to multiple accounts, someone threw a stack of money in Diddy's face. What started as posturing quickly escalated into something much more serious. Moments later, gunfire tore through the club. A woman named Natanya Rubin was struck in the face. She survived, but the bullet remains lodged in her cheek to this day. 2 other people were critically injured. Panic broke out. Screams, blood, confusion, and instead of staying to help or cooperate, Diddy and Lopez fled the scene in a chauffeur-driven Jeep. What followed was a high-speed chase through Manhattan, 20 blocks, at least 11 red lights blown through.
Jennifer knew nothing, had nothing really to do with any shooting. She certainly had nothing to do with any gun. And we were confident that if they did do the kind of investigation they did, that would be the end of it.
Innocent people don't usually flee the scene of a shooting at high speed unless they're afraid of what might be uncovered. Diddy publicly denied involvement.
Rap star is busted.
Jay-Z turned himself in tonight and the cops started working on his rap sheet, accusing him of a stabbing at a trendy party.
Kimberly Richardson is at Midtown South right now. Kimberly.
Well, Rosanna, just a few hours ago, police here at Midtown South arrested Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z. The rap star voluntarily turned himself in here at the precinct earlier this evening. Now, Carter is being held here in connection with that stabbing fight that erupted at the KitKat Club last night. But just a few moments ago, Carter's attorney had this to say.
He's not involved in this, period.
He was at the club?
That's my only comment. He wasn't involved in this.
So it was someone else that did the stabbing and the hitting?
I didn't say that. I said he was not involved in it.
Now, Slovis goes on to say that at no time was Jay-Z hiding from the police, that they were in touch with cops all day and that they're trying to...
Police eventually stopped the vehicle and a firearm was allegedly found near the front seat. Everyone inside was arrested. Diddy posted $100,000 bail and immediately went public with his denial. He insisted he never possessed a gun. He claimed he had nothing to do with the shooting. He framed himself as someone caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. His legal team doubled down. They argued that the gun was found in the front of the vehicle, not where Diddy or Lopez were sitting.
Including stomach and back with a 5-inch blade.
I have my faults. I'm not a perfect person.
Rap star Jay-Z spoke with Fox 5 exclusively just a few weeks ago during a photo shoot for the cover of January's issue of Source magazine.
I don't want people to think that it's just everything is bounce, or can I get a hard knock life, you know what I mean? I have my dark days also,
Detectives in Midtown say that last night allegedly was one of his darkest. Cops say the hip-hop star was fingered in a stabbing inside a packed nightclub. Just about 11:30 last night when rap star Jay-Z, surrounded by his usual entourage, strolled into the KitKat Club here on West 43rd Street. Once inside, he had a confrontation with record producer Lance Rivera. Cops say the argument heated up during a party celebrating a new release by rapper Q-Tip. Jay-Z and his crew surrounded the 33-year-old Rivera and his 29-year-old brother Corey. Witnesses say that Jay-Z allegedly plunged a knife into Rivera's stomach and smashed a bottle over his brother's head before running out of the club.
I'd like to talk to you about what happened here last night.
Delgado knows all too well, and he still sports the scar to prove it.
Accidentally, I was pushed into Jay-Z, where he turned around and just hit me with a bottle over the head. And his whole entourage, about 30 guys, proceeded to, jump me, hit me with tables and so forth and so on.
Delgado never reported the assault to cops until today. Now he's sorry.
He's just a punk, man, and it did not surprise me when I heard it this morning. I was like, wow, another one. Had I stepped up in '98 when he did this to me, On wouldn't have gone through what he went through last night. Yeah, he does have to serve some time.
They pointed out that Lopez's case was dismissed for that exact reason. According to them, the only reason Diddy's charges continued was because of public pressure and media narratives. The message was clear: this wasn't about evidence, it was about perception. But critics pointed out something that never sat right. Innocent people don't usually flee the scene of a shooting at high speed unless they're afraid of what might be uncovered. That detail lingered, and it still lingers. More than a dozen witnesses inside the club gave statements. Prosecutors.
You had an incident with Unresolved, where you pled guilty to charges of, I don't remember exactly the charges, assault with a deadly weapon?
They would have never let me be
out
here with you if that was the case.
You stabbed them. Okay, all right. Do you feel like that was a mistake in hindsight?
I believe that was the greatest thing ever. This is gonna sound crazy, but I believe that helped me. You know what I'm saying? Because that put the brakes on everything. That let me know that no matter how successful you are and how much you're on your road, it can all stop. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you still kid from Marcy Projects, and not everybody they waiting for you to mess up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just go ahead. You know what I'm saying? We let you just go ahead and self-destruct yourself. You know what I'm saying? But that right there was a moment I was like, okay. And I'm glad it didn't have to take for me to be in jail for like 7 years to be like, damn.
Prosecutors alleged that one of Diddy's associates opened fire and that Diddy himself was seen with a weapon. The case eventually fell apart in court, but the story never fully disappeared. It just got buried under success, money, and influence. Around the same time, the industry was dealing with another high-profile incident. Jay-Z voluntarily turned himself in after being accused of stabbing someone.
That the people in power had gave that reign to Diddy, and Jay was next in line. So to separate him, when in fact they may be two of the same, but because Jay-Z is low-key, that low-key sneaky shit, and Diddy is, and was, rambunctious, just out with it, it don't mean that they're not two of the same. One just a little quiet with his shit.
What happened at the basketball game? When they ran into, you guys ran into Jay-Z?
They were just talking. They was talking amongst each other about their little white girls. They little skinny white girls.
And I mean, did Diddy always say negative things about Jay around you?
The time he was trying to get Ja Rule to go at Jay.
During a fight at the KitKat club, his attorney immediately denied any involvement. Jay-Z admitted being present but claimed he had nothing to do with the violence. That case, like many others from that era, became part of a larger pattern: power, chaos, denial, and survival.
Amen. Shout out to Diddy, Happy New Year. You know what it is, DJ Cal, it's all about victory. I'm going in. Better believe it. Shout out to Def Jam, we the best. You know what it is, it's 2010, baby. It's the takeover. I'm going in.
Happy New Year to the whole planet. God is the greatest. Real talk. And I mean, if there's anything that somebody can say better than that, I'm all ears. But with that being said, continuous blessings to the whole entire universe. Let's do it way big.
I want to give a shout out to my brothers that have been inspiring me and been my friends for a long time. One of my best friends in the whole world, Busta Rhymes in the house. You know what I'm saying? He's been my friend for a long time, ever since I was like 12.
Looking back now, these moments feel connected, not necessarily by evidence, but by culture, an era where Accountability was rare, money smoothed over consequences, and reputations were protected at all costs, where incidents like Club New York weren't isolated accidents but warnings.
Apologize for not sweating, but I do this so much. I'm so cool. I just want y'all to see everybody I'm interviewing is sweating. I'm not even touching my brow. I'm so cool, and I want to apologize. I ain't trying to make you look bad or nothing like that, but I'm just so cool.
We wearing a t-shirt. I tell you, if he was wearing one of those fancy designer clothes he's designing, he'd be sweating just like me.
The guy's good. The guy's good, y'all. Let's give it up for him.
I appreciate you guys.
Pete.
I love Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good...
What makes the present moment different is the accumulation, the footage, the testimonies, the patterns that can no longer be ignored. Things that were once dismissed as rumors now line up too cleanly. And as more information comes out, the narrative is shifting from nothing happened to tap to too much happened to ignore. What was once brushed off as controversy now looks like a blueprint. And the deeper people dig, the harder it becomes to pretend this was all coincidence. Detectives in Midtown later said that night may have been one of the darkest moments of his career, not just because of what allegedly happened inside the club, but because of what followed. According to police, like the hip-hop star, was implicated in a stabbing inside a packed nightclub, a space filled with music executives, artists, entourages, and witnesses who would later remember pieces of the night very differently. It was just after 11:30 p.m. when Jay-Z, surrounded by his usual circle, walked into the KitKat club on West 43rd Street.
You know, it's just me and the ladies. This is my scene. I'm used to this type of thing. You know, doing what I do best. You know? Oh, shit! Oh, did the camera catch that? Got the camera! Got the camera! All right, okay. First of all, I know it looks bad with me running into the camera, okay? It was Puffy's party. He's called me, said, Kev, can you host a party with me? I said, yeah, dude. I said, I'll do it. He said, look, we creating this little sexy scene in the bathroom. I said, oh, that's gonna be hot. I'm promoting the party. I'm like, yeah, man, this is a nice event. You see, we up here in the tub. First of all, if somebody here is on fire, it's a panic. Yo, your hair. It should be crazy. This is all I heard. I heard, yo, your hair's on fire. I turned around, I saw it, I was like, oh!
This wasn't some random venue, this was a place where industry relationships were built and broken in a single night, where reputations mattered and where silence often followed power. Inside, the energy was already tense. The club was hosting a party celebrating a new release by Q-Tip, meaning nearly everyone in the room had a reason to be there. Executives, artists, managers, friends of friends, people watching each other closely. Somewhere in that mix, Jay-Z crossed paths with record producer Lance Rivera. Accounts say the two exchanged words, then more words, and then something shifted. Witnesses later described the argument heating up rapidly.
Way back. But check this out.
When was that, by the way? We'll get to that later. All right.
Okay. Now, we need alcohols.
Right.
Alcohols.
Right. Not just one alcohol.
Alcohols.
Right. Just
Plurals.
different blend. You need
Blends.
the ladies, you need the booze.
You need some water.
For watering plants?
No, I don't know if guys have noticed this. Like, a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, you know, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
yeah.
Rock with me, but just check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat. You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, you know, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
That just sounds disgusting. What are you doing?
No. Depends on the way you look at it.
People start getting gets kind of sexy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you sexy. New word for you.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Hey, yo. No, I wasn't saying. No, it was a new
Sean,
party.
You're in my house now, you see.
Moving from verbal confrontation to something physical, police would later allege that Jay-Z and his entourage surrounded Rivera and his brother Corey, boxing them in as the situation escalated. What happened next became the subject of headlines, denials, and years of debate. According to police reports, Jay-Z allegedly stabbed Rivera in the stomach and smashed a bottle over Corey Rivera's head before fleeing the club. Panic spread through the room. People screamed. Chairs were knocked over. Blood appeared. The music stopped. Within minutes, the club that had been filled with celebration turned into a crime scene. And one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop had disappeared into the night. Another man, Delgado, would later come forward with a story that added yet another layer to the night. He said he had been pushed into Jay-Z during the chaos, and without warning, Jay-Z turned and struck him with a bottle. Delgado described being swarmed immediately after by Jay-Z's entourage. He said there were around 30 people involved, tables were overturned, he was beaten badly. He did not go to the police at the time, something he would later say he regretted deeply. When the news broke about the stabbing, Delgado said it didn't shock him. To him, it felt familiar, like something that had been allowed to happen before and would be allowed to happen again. Around the same period, another violent incident continued to haunt the industry. At Club New York in Times Square, a woman named Natanya Rubin was shot during a chaotic night involving Diddy and his entourage. She survived, but the bullet remains lodged in her cheek to this day. Rubin has never changed her account. She said she saw the weapon, she saw the flash, she felt the impact immediately. She described hearing a warning seconds before she was hit. Over the years, she has repeated one thing consistently. She has no doubt in her mind who shot her. Yet despite her testimony, the case never fully stuck. Charges shifted, narratives changed, responsibility blurred. Diddy denied involvement publicly, insisting he did not possess a weapon and had nothing to do with the shooting. His legal team echoed that defense, arguing the gun was found near the front seat of the vehicle, not where Diddy or Jennifer Lopez were sitting. Lopez's case was dismissed, Diddy's continued, and even then, accountability seemed to evaporate as time passed. Critics have pointed out one detail that continues to raise eyebrows. Innocent people don't usually flee the scene of a shooting at high speed unless they're afraid of what might be uncovered. According to authorities, Diddy and Lopez fled the club in a chauffeur-driven Jeep, triggering a high-speed chase through Times Square that spanned more than 20 blocks and ran through at least 11 red lights. When police finally stopped the vehicle, a firearm was allegedly found inside. Everyone was arrested. And yet years later, the fallout seemed uneven. Jennifer Lopez moved on untouched. Diddy's career continued, and Jamal Shine Barrow, one of Diddy's associates, was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison for his role in the shooting. Over the years, Shine has repeatedly claimed he was framed. He has said Diddy used his money, influence, and power to escape consequences while someone else lost a decade of his life. According to Shine, people in power closed ranks, decisions were made quietly, and the outcome was predetermined. Years later, Jay-Z himself reflected publicly on his own violent past, framing it not as a warning sign but as a turning point. He acknowledged pleading guilty to a lesser charge related to the KitKat Club incident and described it as a humbling experience. He said it slowed him down, reminded him how fast everything could end. He spoke about being a kid from the Marcy Projects, about how people were always waiting for him to self-destruct. In his telling, the incident became part of his growth narrative, a mistake that sharpened him rather than stained him. But for critics, that framing raises uncomfortable questions. Why do some people get redemption arcs while others get prison sentences? Why do certain stories get rebranded as lessons while others are erased entirely? Why do patterns repeat around the same names without ever reaching definitive conclusions?
That smothering her with the pillows and all that, like he playing with her. I know she was tired.
Yeah, he also told Rolling Stone that Diddy, he's a jealous person that don't know what love is.
He knows that, bruh. Kim couldn't have nobody, bruh. Kim couldn't have nobody. You understand what I'm saying, bruh? Diddy could do whatever, Puff could do whatever he wanted to do, Brother Love could do whoever he wanted to be. If Kim ever tried to get with somebody, Puff would interfere with them or with her trying to be with them. He wasn't letting that happen. Unless he was bringing them to the picture. That's what he used Kim for, bro. He wanted to make a deal with somebody. He'll get another girl and a guy that he's trying to make a deal with, and him and Kim, they all party together, man. He used Kim for that shit, bro.
Wow, so he used Kim for that?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. You don't do that to somebody you're supposed to love.
This wasn't an isolated moment. Around the same time, the industry was quietly dealing with multiple violent incidents involving its biggest figures. Jay-Z turned himself in after the stabbing accusation. Cameras rolled as his attorney stepped in to shut everything down. The message was swift. He was not involved, period. He was present but not responsible. Charges were reduced. Probation was handed down. Careers moved forward uninterrupted. Meanwhile, Diddy continued to expand his empire. Awards, business deals, public Public praise, celebrations, shoutouts from other artists, public displays of loyalty, and all of it existed alongside unresolved questions that never quite went away. Even decades later, people still debate what really happened that night at Club New York. They debate the KitKat Club, they debate the role of power, money, and influence. They debate why witnesses told different stories that never fully made it into court records. They debate why some people's testimonies were amplified while others were dismissed. What becomes impossible to ignore when you line everything up is the pattern. Allegations surface, violence occurs, witnesses speak, then silence follows, charges are reduced, responsibility shifts, and careers not only survive but thrive. Instead of setbacks, these moments seem to fortify the people at the center of them. Critics argue this looks less like coincidence and more like protection, like an industry that knows how to shield its most valuable assets, like a system that decides who is expendable and who is untouchable. Diddy walked free, Shine lost 10 years, Jay-Z received probation, others disappeared from the narrative entirely. Publicly, the story has always been success, resilience, growth, brotherhood, loyalty. But beneath that surface, there's a long list of incidents that were never fully resolved, never fully explained, and never fully addressed. Now, as lawsuits resurface and old investigations are reopened, people are finally asking the questions they avoided for years. How many times did the system look the other way? How many violent incidents were minimized, reframed, or quietly buried to protect careers and empires? How many witnesses were ignored? How many stories were never told in full? Because when you step back and look at the timeline, the details don't feel random anymore. They feel connected, they feel deliberate, and what was once dismissed as rumor now reads like a long, unfinished record of power operating without consequence. The same names appear again and again, the same defenses, the same outcomes, the same silence after the headlines fade. And the longer it takes to confront those patterns, the harder it becomes to pretend they don't exist. What remains isn't just a collection of incidents, it's a question about how power moves, how narratives are shaped, and how many truths were left out of the story the world was told. The response stayed vague, no explanation, just denial, and that alone raised the obvious question that never really went away. If he wasn't involved, why turn himself in at all? People don't surrender to police unless the situation is serious, unless there's pressure behind the scenes, or unless lawyers already know something is coming. Turning yourself in isn't confidence, it's damage control. Police reports and witness statements paint a much heavier picture of what happened on December 1st, 1999. That night, record executive Lance Rivera attended a release party for Q-Tip's solo album at the KitKat Club in Manhattan. The venue was packed wall to wall, music industry insiders everywhere, artists, executives, entourages, money, ego, alcohol, the kind of environment where tension doesn't need much encouragement to explode. Jay-Z arrived with his usual crew. According to investigators, an argument broke out between him and Rivera not long after. Witnesses later claimed the dispute stemmed from leaked music and unresolved industry issues. Whatever the trigger was, things escalated fast. Voices rose, people started crowding in, and then chaos broke loose. Police alleged that Jay-Z stabbed Rivera in the stomach and back with a blade before fleeing the scene. Another man was reportedly struck in the head with a bottle during the confusion. Rivera survived, but the damage was done. The room erupted into panic. People screamed. Security rushed in. Blood was everywhere. Within minutes, one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop was gone. In the days that followed, detectives described that night as one of the darkest moments of Jay-Z's career. And yet, the public response was strangely muted. Jay-Z later spoke in interviews about not being perfect, about having dark days, about how fast things can spiral. But what stood out wasn't what he said, it was what he didn't say. There was no public remorse, no direct acknowledgement of harm. Instead, the incident was reframed as a lesson, a turning point, something that helped him slow down and mature. That framing unsettled a lot of people. One man later came forward saying he had been struck in the head with a bottle after being accidentally pushed into Jay-Z during the chaos. He described being attacked by several members of the entourage and suffering injuries he still carries today. He admitted he didn't report the incident immediately. Looking back, he said staying quiet might have allowed the violence to continue unchecked. And that's where the pattern starts to feel familiar. Ultimately, Jay-Z pleaded guilty to a lesser charge and received probation. No jail time. The case faded, headlines disappeared, and his career didn't stall, it accelerated. Critics point to this as part of a larger pattern in the industry. Serious allegations followed by minimal consequences, explosive moments smoothed over by legal strategy and influence power cushioning the fall. What shocked many people later was how Jay-Z himself spoke about the incident years after the fact. When asked if it was a mistake, he didn't express regret. He described it as necessary, as something that helped him understand the stakes. To some, it sounded less like accountability and more like confidence in survival, and that's where comparisons to Diddy began to surface more openly. Former insiders have said Jay-Z learned early that loud behavior attracts scrutiny. Quiet power survives. Gene Deal and even 50 Cent have hinted at this distinction publicly. The idea isn't that one man was innocent and the other wasn't, it's that one moved loudly and the other moved carefully, one drew attention, the other avoided it. Critics argue that doesn't mean their behavior was different, like only their strategy. Stories circulate of private conversations that never made headlines, of rooms where power was discussed casually, of decisions made quietly and enforced indirectly. Jay-Z wasn't operating in isolation, he was part of a wider circle of influence that included Diddy and extended far beyond music. That's where the bigger picture comes into focus. Diddy wasn't just a music executive, he was photographed with US presidents. Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, all appearing at events, fundraisers, parties. At the time, it looked like status. Now, people ask why a music mogul had such consistent access to the highest levels of political power. Old clips have resurfaced, showing Trump praising Diddy publicly, calling him a friend, defending him on television. Trump and Melania photographed alongside Diddy at elite events. Diddy himself once referred to Trump as a hardworking friend in interviews years ago. Back then it seemed normal. Powerful people socialize with powerful people. Now with investigations widening, it feels different. Old footage is being re-examined. Comments that once sounded like jokes now feel unsettling. Conversations about controlling environments, keeping people inside, setting conditions so nobody leaves. At the time it was entertainment. Now critics hear something darker underneath. Former associates have alleged that Diddy's private life reflected the same need for control. Claims about his relationship with Kim Porter continue to resurface. Gene Deal has repeatedly alleged that Kim was isolated, controlled, and emotionally worn down. He claims she wasn't allowed to move on freely, that Diddy interfered whenever she tried to build a life outside of him. These claims remain allegations, but they echo across multiple accounts. How much was hidden in plain sight? Because if this is what made it into the public record, imagine what never did. Now it's your turn. What do you think is really going on here? Do these patterns feel like coincidence, right, or protection? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation isn't over. If you want more deep dives like this, like the video, subscribe and turn on notifications. The more this story unfolds, the more important it becomes to understand what was left out and why.